Today we will discuss about the National Housing Bank. In this section mainly the objectives and the functioning of national housing banks are given. The National Housing Policy 1988 envisaged the setting up of National Housing Bank as the apex level institution for housing. That is, this National Housing Bank is the apex institution that provides the financial facilities for housing in India. National Housing Bank was set up on 9th July 1988 under the National Housing Bank Act 1987. That is, it was established under the National Housing Bank Act 1987. Reserve Bank of India contributed the entire paid up capital for National Housing Bank, and the superintendence, direction and management of affairs and business of National Housing Bank is vested with the Board of Directors, and its headquarters is at Delhi. Here the points to remember are: it was set up on 9th July 1988 under National Housing Bank Act 1987. Second one, it is the apex level institution for housing in India. The entire paid up capital was contributed by Reserve Bank of India. Its direction, supervision, superintendence and management is with the Board of Directors, and it is situated at Delhi. And a brief history of its introduction is given in this section. And this National Housing Bank was set up as a result of the problem faced, or in order to solve the problem faced in the housing sector of India. Accordingly, a subgroup on housing finance for 7th five-year plan, that is during 1985-90, identified the non-availability of long-term finance to individual household on a significant scale as a major problem of the housing sector, and they recommended the setting up of a national level institution. That is, the subgroup on housing finance for 7th five-year plan actually identified the problem of the availability of long-term finance to individual households, and they recommended the setting up of a national level institution for solving this problem of availability of or availing long-term finance to individual households for the purpose of housing. And they considered the recommendations and set up the high-level group under the chairmanship of Rangarajan, the then Deputy Governor of RBI, to examine the proposal and recommended the setting up of National Housing Bank as an autonomous housing finance institution. And the Government of India also accepted, that is, in accordance with the recommendation of subgroup on housing finance for 7th five-year plan, there was a recommendation to set up a high-level committee under the chairmanship of Dr. C. Rangarajan, and this recommended the setting up of National Housing Bank, and the Government of India also accepted the recommendation. As it was announced in the budget for 1987-88 budget for the setting up of National Housing Bank as an apex level institution for housing. And following that, the National Housing Bank Bill 91 of 1987, providing the legislative framework for the establishment of National Housing Bank, was passed by the Parliament in the winter session of 1987, and with the assent of Honorable President of India on December 23rd, 1987, it became an act, and accordingly the National Housing Bank was established. This is the history behind the origin of the National Housing Bank. It was recommended by the subgroup on housing finance for the 7th five-year plan, and this recommendation was given for a high-level group under the chairmanship of Dr. C. Rangarajan. They recommended the setting up of a National Housing Bank, and Government of India accepted, and it was announced in the budget for 1987-88, and an apex level institution was passed, and accordingly bill and act was also passed, and the National Housing Bank was established. The major objectives of national housing banks are to promote a sound, healthy, viable, and cost effective housing finance system to cater to all segments of the population and to integrate the housing finance system with overall financial system. That is, promote a sound, healthy, and viable and cost effective housing finance for the all section of the population is the first objective. Second one, to promote a network of dedicated housing finance institution to adequately serve various regions and different income groups. And third one, to augment resources for the sector and channelize them for housing to make housing credit more affordable. The next objective was to supervise the activities of housing finance companies based on supervisor power derived under the Act. Next objective is to encourage augmentation of supply of buildable land and also building materials for housing and to upgrade the housing stock. Next one is to encourage the public agencies to emerge as a facilitator.